Hi everyone! I'm Danny Aziz and I'm a self-taught designer and illustrator, and I am here today to teach you how to create custom GIFs in Photoshop. Photoshop may sound a little scary if you've never used it before, but I promise you the tools that we're going to use today are super simple and very easy to use. I will be teaching you how to use the brush tool to draw a little fun flower. I'll be showing you how to use the horizontal type tool and shapes to create shaped text. And then we will use frame animation to animate it. So these are skills that are going to be able to be used widely over creating cool assets for your brand. So these aren't just for GIFs. If you decide to dig deeper into the Photoshop black hole, this is an amazing start. If you know Photoshop and you just don't know how to use GIFs or how to make GIFs or use frame animation yet, this is also for you. So what are we waiting for? You ready to get started? Quick note, if you don't have Photoshop, I have a link for you below. Click on that, download Photoshop before we get started, and that's all you need.
I'm gonna go ahead and open up a new file. You can go ahead and make it 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels. That's a pretty big size, but for GIFs, when you upload it to Giphy, it doesn't have to be in a specific size. So I always work with 2000 by 2000, but you can work with whatever you feel is best for your project. Again, this can be applied to any sort of animation. So if you're working on an Instagram story, I would make those, and so on. And then the resolution, all we need is 72 pixels per inch because we are just using this on the internet. Go ahead and create. Okay, so we have a blank canvas here. And we're gonna go ahead and create a new layer so we're not drawing on the background. Let's rename this layer to stay organized as flower center, since we'll just be doing the little center of the flower. Let's go ahead and pick the brush tool, and I just stick with the hard round. There's a lot of different brushes that Photoshop comes with, and then a few that I've added in, but this hard round brush is perfect for just a little doodle that we will be doing today. So draw a little circle, and then a quick way to fill that is just using the paint bucket tool and clicking in the middle. And as you can see, there's this kind of white around my fill, and I can change that by changing the tolerance here. So if I wanted to make it a little bit higher, and then re-clicking, and it filled in the circle and got rid of that little annoying white line there. Let's make another layer now for our petals. And go back to the brush tool, and I'm gonna go ahead. What's really cool about Photoshop, if you've never used it before, they come with some color palettes here. You can also add your own swatches, but I'm just gonna go play around with maybe the pastel and the light colors here. So we have the orange center here, and then let's do this pink for the petals. So I'm gonna go ahead and just simply draw some petals. And if you know me, you know my style is very imperfect and doodly, and so that's kind of what we're going for here. I'm gonna take the paint bucket tool again and then just fill that. Let's fill it again, and that got rid of the white space. I'm gonna rearrange my layers here by dragging the flower center to top. And there, now we have this cute little flower. That will be the centerpiece of our GIF. In order to move this around, I just selected them all, and you can do that by either clicking on one layer, then holding shift and clicking the other layer, Or you can drag your mouse and select them all like that, and that way you can move all these layers together. The only reason I have these on separate layers, you will see in a second, is because I want to do a couple different colorways of this flower, and I will show you how to do that in a second. But let's get to the circle first. So in order to create just our circle background, I've clicked on the shape tool. Usually it's at a rectangle, but you have all these different options. So make sure it's at the ellipse. And in order, let's make a yellow shape. In order to make a perfect circle, hold down Shift and then drag your mouse out the circle. If I let go of Shift and move it, I can make an oval. Now I'm just gonna hold down Shift again, and there's my circle. This is your move tool, so just getting out of that and putting it center, I'm gonna drag it below my flower. I wanna make my ellipse bigger. So on Max, what I did to do the boundary box is Command T for transform, and now I'm just dragging it, and you don't have to hit Shift. Again, when you're resizing in Photoshop, it will automatically resize to the correct proportions. If you wanna change the proportion size, then you can hold down Shift and kind of change things around like that. So right now I'm holding down Shift while I move this. I'm gonna undo that. Undo is Command Z as usual. Okay, let's leave this for now. I might need to resize, but then in order to create this circular text like I did here, we're gonna keep on the ellipse tool. However, we're gonna go up here where it says shape and change to path. And we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna hold down Shift and drag out. I'm making a little bit smaller since I want, since I want the path inside of the circle. And in order to select this path, as you can see, I was trying to select it and I couldn't. In order to select the path, you have to come to this arrow here and make sure it's path selection tool, and now I can select my path. And I'm centering it on my flower, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click the type tool, make sure it's your horizontal type, and I'm gonna drag it over this path. So as you can see, it's turning this wavy, the cursor is turning wavy, so I'm gonna click there, and there's my text. So I think I said it's, oh, that is wrong grammar. Let's make sure it's okay to not be okay, period. Okay, I'm gonna highlight this and change the sizing here. So right now it's at 200. Let's see how big 300 gets it to. That's too big. 250 is a little too small. I want it to look almost like it's running into each other. Perfect. So I'm gonna leave it at 270 for now. But with that, that means I'm gonna need to make my circle a little bit bigger. So I've clicked on my circle, I'm gonna Command T and drag this out a little bit and center it. That looks good. Center my text a little bit. And let's then select the flowers and center the flower. Okay, that's looking really cute. It's looking a little different than this one, but that's okay. I love this one too. Okay, so now we are going to get to animating. So I'm gonna remove the background just by clicking this eye and removing the background because GIFs have to be transparent while uploading to Giphy. So in order to create the frame animation, you may not see this at the bottom of your Photoshop. If you don't, go ahead to Window and just click on Timeline. See, I will unclick it so mine's hidden. Window, Timeline pops up. So there's a few different options. There's Create Video Timeline and Create Frame Animation. And make sure it says Create Frame Animation and then just go ahead and click. So we have our first frame and we're just going to continue to duplicate frames and slightly shift each frame so that it looks animated. So let's go down to the bottom left of your screen and hit this plus button and that will duplicate the frame here. So now we have 2 frames of the same exact thing. I am going to duplicate my flower here by selecting both of them, right-clicking, and going to duplicate layers, hitting OK. So now we have two of the same exact flowers directly on top of each other. I want this flower to flicker different colors. So let's change the center of the flower by just clicking on the center and then going over to your swatches and picking whatever color you want to use. So let's do light purple. Paint bucket and clicking on the paint bucket, and there we go. Now it's light purple. I'm gonna do the petals in a green. Paint bucket my petals. So now we have a pretty groovy purple and green flower. So as you can see, it's showing it on both frames, and we do not want that because we want to flicker on and off. And in order to remove it from the first frame, we're going to want to go ahead and hide it. But oops, now you can see that we don't have any flowers. Turn that green and purple flower back on using the eye tool, and it will not affect the first one. So the first, whatever you do to the first frame will change everything after it. Whatever you change to singular frames in here won't change anything moving forward. So the first frame is kind of like your master frame. So you kind of have to go back and forth, but keep that in mind if you get stuck as to why things are turning off. And also, side note, if for some reason you want to edit something in the, or move the position of something, always do it in the first frame or it will mess up your future frames. Just as a tip as you move down the little fun animation world in Photoshop. So I'm going to also go ahead and start animating the text. So same way, I'm going to duplicate our text layer, rename this. So now we have a duplicate of the text. Again, I'm going to do Command T. And when you see, if you drag your or put your cursor kind of near the corner and drag it out a little bit, you'll see this curved arrow, and that means you're going to rotate. You're going to rotate it slightly to the right. So now you see it's moved slightly to the right. You're going to want to go back and hide it from the first frame, come back, turn it back on in the second frame, and then hide the first frame. So now you can see it's kind of moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While that's really cute and we can work, let's go a little step further and make the flower change once more and keep the text spinning a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate the second layer. I already went ahead and duplicated the layer of the flower one more time and changed the color. So I'm gonna turn that on, and I'm gonna go to my text layer, the second layer, and duplicate it. Rename it so I know what I'm doing. Command T and drag it to the right. Go back to the first frame, turn it off, turn it back on, there. So now we have it moving even more. I'm gonna go ahead and animate this entire thing so that the text moves in a circle.
A few moments later.
So I only did 9 frames to keep it semi-short, so it doesn't go in a full circle, but I think it still looks really cute. Let's run it. Super cute. Now we've created our own GIF. Now let's figure out how to actually use it. So you're going to want to export it by going to File, Export, Save for Web. And there's a few things we want to make sure that we have selected or picked. So make sure it's in GIF format. Make sure transparency is clicked. We want it to be transparent. And then double check that your matte is set to none. If it's a color, it will have a color background or like border along the edges, and we don't want that. We want it just to look exactly as we designed it. Hit save. Save. Let's replace that. Replace. Minimize. Okay, so then you can open it up on your desktop and wait, oh my God, it's not moving. That's totally fine. GIFs are not gonna move in the file format, just on your desktop. But if you hit the space bar over and over, you can see it kind of move. If you wanna see your GIF in action, open up your browser window and you can just drag your GIF into it and watch it move.
Oh my God, you guys, we're done. You did it. You made your first GIF. Was it that hard? I don't think it was. If you were struggling a little bit, no worries. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure you probably killed it. And if you did, you should feel very proud of yourself. If you didn't, still feel proud of yourself for trying. That's the first step. So now you have all the skills you need to continue making cute branded GIFs for your Instagram, your website, anything. Frame animation can be used in so many different ways on Photoshop. Those tutorials will be coming later, but I cannot wait to see what you created. So if you want to tag me in anything, drop a link below, please do. I'm It's Danny Aziz on Instagram, and you know where I'm here on you know who I am here on YouTube. And that's it. And remember, it's always okay to not be okay.